the fact that you got Kevin McCarthy out here, right, continuing to defend it, we know, again, what his incentive structure is. But it reminds me that you and I keep going back to this conversation about what's it going to take, right? If this indictment, if this is not it, then what will it take for the MAGA extremists? They're gone. The folks who are burying their heads in the sand over it, what is it going to take for them to pull their heads out and say, this cannot stand?
I don't think there is anything other than Donald Trump running again and losing and the party just inevitably having to get past him. This is the time, right? There's no way to actually later say, well, now it's time to get rid of Donald Trump if you're empowering him and enabling him now. And I like the way you frame this, Alicia, because there really are two stories to this. There is a former president who is now running again under indictment, likely facing a loss of freedom. That is a criminal. That's what a criminal indictment leads to if he's found guilty. That's one story. The other story is the party that elevates and celebrates him, because there is permanency to that party. Donald Trump one day will come and go. Maybe he's elected again, maybe not. But this Republican Party has chosen a path, and their reaction to the events of this week are dangerous and destabilizing. When it comes to Kevin McCarthy, they are beneath the dignity of the speakership of the House. They are dangerous, and they are taking us to a very dark place if they succeed with this weaponization narrative, pitting one side of the country against the other.
I mean, Debbie, there is the danger of the weaponization narrative. I invite you to talk about that. I also think there is the danger of the fact that if you read this indictment, as I have, as I'm sure both of you have, it is fundamentally about national security. And I thought it was interesting that when Jack Smith gave his remarks, he said it's not just about our national security and our rule of law. It is about the fact that we, the United States, set the standard globally for what the rule of law is supposed to look like. I know that we have Trump walking out on stage in Greensboro, North Carolina. Fascinating, of course, that we're having a conversation about this, even as he continues to campaign. Debbie, talk to me about the danger, the national security dangers, the dangers to rule of law, the fact that you have Republicans continuing to sing from his songbook, talking about this as the weaponization of government, not taking seriously the national security threat. What does that mean for us as Americans?
Yeah, Alicia, and I have to agree with David. I think that we are really facing one of the most dangerous times for our national security, for our democracy here in the United States. Look, let's remember that it's been Donald Trump and his loyal followers and the MAGA Republicans who started weaponizing the judicial system and the Department of Justice when the Mueller report came out, and immediately Bill Barr came in front of the cameras to try to control the narrative and spread misinformation. And as I've been looking at everything that's been going on and watching all the tweets from all the top Republicans here in Florida, Rick Scott, DeSantis, Marco Rubio, it's really a war on information at this point. They are trying to control the narrative to try to mislead their base. And it's extremely dangerous because what they're doing right now is use that misinformation to divide, to further divide, to chip away at the faith on law enforcement, on the judicial system. And I'm very worried that Donald Trump was, if you remember, in 2016, saying that he could shoot somebody in Fifth Avenue and get away with it. And I'm really concerned that this is actually going to really fuel his most extreme base at a time where we've seen a rise in political violence and easier access to firearms, especially here in Florida, where Governor DeSantis passed the permitless carry bill, which goes into effect July 1st. And so you have like a perfect storm forming. And that's why I think that we need to be very, very aware and preoccupied with what's going on here in the state of Florida. And like you said, the threats to our national security in the United States and globally.